There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With even more exclusive content, with over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy a favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
Remote starters and telematics are an integral component to many 12-volt specialty retailers, especially up here in Canada. And with new technologies being introduced, shifts in distribution networks, and the rising surge in vehicle thefts, dealers must stay up to date with the latest solutions in order to provide the best possible solutions to their customers. On this roundtable, we've invited some of the top dealers to discuss the latest challenges, innovations, and trends that have impacted this continuously evolving category. The Remote Starters and Telematics Roundtable, presented by SiriusXM and sponsored by 5-Axis Innovations, starts now. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to an exciting roundtable presented by SiriusXM and sponsored by 5-Axis Innovations. I'm your host and mediator this evening, Ben Wu. And what's on the menu? The menu is remote start and telematics. How much more relevant can it be than that? The nights are getting longer, and the temperature is certainly dropping. That means a huge portion of the business for many retailers out there. So pretty happy and proud of the cast of guests that we'll have with us this evening. We're going to be talking about all kinds of topics that are relevant right now. There's been a tremendous amount of shift and changes that have gone on, and we're going to spend all evening talk about it. But before we do that, we're going to bring in our special partner in 5-Axis Innovations, who's going to give us some updates and maybe some ideas on how to better improve your display in your store when it comes to remote start. What's going on, Mr. Jody Culbertson?
How are we, Ben Wu? Are you still living the dream?
I am living the dream. You know what? I know you're going to ask me, are we safe and how that storm go? Yes, we're good over here. I can't say the same, unfortunately, for some of our friends and colleagues and family that are a little bit further east than me. I wish them all the best on behalf of everybody here. I mean, it's a long road to recovery for sure. Having said that, weather. Weather means cold. It means snow. It means car starters. It's remote starter season. And, you know, when it comes to that, I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this, Jody, are dealers optimizing their opportunity to present the latest products to their customers when it comes to their showroom floor?
You know, the number one challenge we run into all the time with most dealers is that they get a DEI, they get an audio box, they get an auto start, they get a CompuStar display, whatever it might be. Is keeping it up to date. That is the number one challenge that everybody has. So we have tried to help guys adapt in a way because everything's changing. It's changing every 3 months, every 6 months, every 9 months, and it's hard for the manufacturers to keep it up to date. So we have come up with innovative ways to help guys because we understand that dealers aren't in a position to update their graphics, update it for the customer. And let's face it, when you take one model that goes from a mile range to 3 mile range, you want to show the customer all these features. And customers are coming in looking for features. So we want to make sure that they understand that. So we also want to make sure that it's an engaging environment. When they walk in, it's very clear. They understand what it looks like. Some dealers like to have customers hold the remote. Some dealers don't. There's like, here's a picture of what the remote looks like. Here's the feature content. Here's what it is. One of the beautiful parts of remote start season is people are slowly in our world getting more adapted to once they own a remote start, they can't live without it. And that's the beautiful part of remote start business.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the dealers tonight and everybody who's listening in certainly cherishes that fun little fact embedded into the 12 volt, into the remote start business. Now, I'm going to bring up some slides here. So, couple different ideas. I want you to talk through what we're looking at here to maybe inspire some of our dealers tuning in, to, as ideas to see what you've done in other stores with your products, Jody.
Ultimately, we want it to be a catch. And, in some of our customers, remote start can make up 30-40% of their business. It's a big amount of business. And they want it to be attractive. They want it to be eye-catching. We want their logo to be on there. We want, if they would like the CompuStar, Viper, AutoStart, whatever brand they want on there, we will do it. What we really tailor ourselves to on every single display is we customize every single panel to what that dealer wants to sell. We do not force any dealer. If you do CompuStar, for example, well, this is what you have to do. No. What do you push in your store and what makes you successful? These 5 models, then that's what we'll show.
Nice.
Okay. We do that with everything. We've also gotten used to doing the whole factory remote start idea because there's still a lot of people out there who get factory remote that's good for what? 200 feet, 100 feet, 150 feet, 300 feet? Well, they need to extend their range. So we talk about that. We also talk about taking the factory remote and turning it into a remote start if that's all you want. So we really try to educate the customer in a way that when they look there, they see everything that dealer does. And that dealer never has to worry about showing something that he doesn't do because we specialize with what he does.
Here's another example.
So this one is a smaller, more cost-effective way to showcase it. This one is basically showing the remote. We do the cool glow on the wall. A lot of guys will turn it blue in the wintertime to make it look cold. Obviously, we put the dealer's logo on there. We do all the remote start products. And again, each one of those panels pops off and a new panel snaps in. So if this dealer today, and ironically enough, the dealer you just saw, I had a customer that I did a store about 8 months ago call me and ask me for 2 new panels because something had changed with CompuStar. So we're immediately sending him 2 new panels next week. So again, the same thing with this one. If a guy calls and says, you know what, this model changed, they changed to this, we redo that panel, we send it to them, they put the magnets on, they snap it in, they walk away, and they're done. It's up to date.
And finally, one final example, a little bit different.
This is complete. This is a one-off customer we just finished in Chicago, and this customer had a ton of glass space in his store. So we made him a custom 2-sided island. It turned out really, really cool, actually, the way it's designed. We put slat wall underneath so he can hang all his product. We lit underneath. We put all the product up top, so when you walk up to it, it's all right at your waist level, very easy. Again, all removable panels. So as products change, you can easily just pop the panels off, pop a new panel on, and you're back in the game.
We'll go ahead and take these the slideshow down. Why I wanted to message this to you, Jody, is your displays set a precedence. They have a certain presence in the showroom, and they entice the customer to touch, to read, to learn more. And I think that's the biggest takeaway.
And we really want to, work with the dealers because at the end of the day, every dealer has a specific way that they do business, and it's not up to us or any supplier to tell them how to do their business. Some guys might do Viper and CompuStar. Some guys might do AutoStart and CompuStar. There's many different brands out there, and we want to amplify their sales and make them more successful. That's ultimately our goal. So we've really set ourselves up in a way that we cater to every single customer. And my graphic artist hates me for it. She swears up and down every time a new guy calls because she knows we never do the same thing twice.
It's too bad Nikki is so hard to deal with, and she's so
Oh, I know. She's a gem. She's a gem.
Thank you so much for coming in, Jody, and educating us on some options that dealers have when it comes to improving their interaction on remote starter sales.
Well, thanks for having me. And here's to some cold weather in the next few weeks, isn't it?
You got it. Take care, Jody.
All right, take care, bud.
All right, that was Jody Culbertson from 5 Axis Innovations. Let's get this show on the road. I'd like to invite our guest who will be joining us this evening. A diverse group from all over the country. So we're going to get a taste of what's going on a little bit everywhere. And I am very, very excited and confident that you tuning in are going to enjoy this discussion tonight because I'll tell you, there's a lot of stuff going on in the remote start world. All right, let's go ahead and bring them in, and I'll do a quick introduction of everybody who's joining us this evening. Next to me up here is Mr. Dave Ryer from Audio Warehouse in Saskatchewan. What's going on, Dave? Again, we have a second Dave in the corner over there representing JB's Power Center, and Dave Mclean, who's been on quite a few times. Thanks for coming in, Dave, from Alberta. The bottom left of the screen, representing 12-volt car audio and security in Toronto, Ontario, Mr. Sebastian Slawinski. How are you doing, Sebastian?
I'm great. How are you guys?
And last but not least, veteran to the CMA Networks platform, because he's been on quite a few times, and we're always happy to have him, representing Mobile Sounds in Calgary, Alberta, Mr. Paul Tate. How you doing?
Pretty good, man.
All right, are you guys ready to talk a little bit about what's going on in remote start? I'm going to start with Dave Ryer, Audio Warehouse. Let's talk Audio Warehouse real quick, Dave. You guys have been in the remote starter game in Saskatchewan, well, since the dawn of time. And what I want to know is, in your experience, what have you seen to be one of the biggest shifts as far as the local market is concerned in recent years?
I think, I've been in this industry for about 20 years, and obviously we've seen a lot in those 20 years, going from just analog remote starters and bypass now to getting into the past few years being digital platform and T-harness and things like that. I think everybody, like, if you, we said this earlier, if someone had a remote starter before, you're always going to continue having a remote starter, and that will just be your thing. But I think big thing is seeing a lot more telematics, the past 10 years, and even the past 5 years, it's just gone through the roof. So it's been fun. Starters.
What you're telling us is that our cell phones have absolutely impacted even the remote starter business.
It has. And then, now we can get it on our watch and our Alexa and our Google Home, and you walk around your house in your Gitch and just say, start my vehicle, and away you go, right? So.
Well, we're going to get into that a little bit soon, because there's a hot topic on telematics. Thank you for sharing. Sticking with you, Mr. Ryer, let's get into our first hot topic tonight. iDataStart dropped a bomb with some brand new technology. They dropped it on CMA. If you haven't seen it yet, I think everybody here has already watched it. It's called the Hub. New technology that was announced. We want to talk about it. Let's start with you, Mr. Ryer. Talk to us, your impressions about this new Hub device.
Well, I think everybody knows about the same information as I do. It's just an hour and 20-minute video. Just talking or hearing Phil talk about it. It's exciting. I think this is going to open up the doors for a lot of solutions that aren't available now, that are going to come down the pipe. Like even them talking about new firmwares for Toyota and Lexus and things like that. Big thing, I think that built-in key reader is going to be really nice for those installers that are not going to have to hop in that vehicle, and the cloning is going to be unreal. Yeah. So I think even having some T harnesses available just only for the Hub, the applications that they're already talking about or sharing is going to make life easy.
Okay, so it sounds like you're pretty positive about that.
Yep. Yeah. And who knows? And the future of it, I think maybe, who knows if they can get into the European side of things. I think more applications, maybe more Porsche or BMW, maybe Mercedes. I don't know. But yeah.
All right, we'll leave it there. Let's switch over quickly to Dave Mclean. Dave, you obviously know and heard the same information. Would love to hear your thoughts.
Great addition for complicated solutions, right? Like, no one wants to hear they're losing that $500 key. This opens the door for a lot more installs we're not capable of today. And we love adding things to the portfolio that we can install and ask that customer to come to our stores. And I think the Hub's going to allow us to advertise direct to those customers that have been told no for a while, and ask them to come to the store for an install.
All right, so it sounds like it's a door opener as far as you're concerned.
100%.
Solutions. All right. Let's go a couple provinces over to Ontario and Toronto. Let's hear what Sebastian has to say about the new announcement of the iDataStart Hub.
I definitely think it's a great idea that they've come up with. Hopefully, a lot more platforms are released, like they were saying about German vehicles, like especially like Volkswagen, which is a very common car. If you could clone a key, like get a blank key or some sort of module to program a third key, so the people don't have to lose their $300-400 key, I think it's a great addition to any shop. I think it's going to be, my personal opinion, I don't think it's going to jump that fast. I don't think we should get so excited that it's going to be done very quickly on a lot of the vehicles. I think the two firmwares available now are Subaru and I believe Toyota, Lexus. So, it's interesting to see how long it's going to take for the new firmwares and the more complicated vehicles to come out. But once it's up and running, I think maybe in the next, hopefully sooner, but say realistically 12 months to maybe 24 months, we'll have a lot more platforms and a lot more open doors for vehicles that we couldn't do without losing a key.
Very, very good. Yeah, that is certainly a concern, because it's not like they came out of the gate with kabam, here's a whole catalog, it's ready to roll, order your hubs. They're slowly getting in there. Paul, I'd like to hear what you have to say about this.
We don't do a ton of iData Start here, or iData or ADS product in general. But any tool that we can get our hands on that's going to make our job easier and open the door to more vehicles and more work, we're definitely open to. We'll definitely be exploring it as it comes out.
Very cool. My question after sitting into that training with Phil, right now it's pretty limited, the amount of information that's out there. I think we can all concur on that. I don't think they've come out with any official video or dialogue about it yet. I think, it seems to me from what Phil has explained that the unit is ready to ship, the boxing, everything is there. I think it's not about the unit. I think this is going to be about the applications and how quickly, like Sebastian said, they're going to unfold that. Does anybody have anything else to add to that before we move on to the next question? No? All right. Let's move over and get to know Paul a little bit from Mobile Sounds. Now, Paul, obviously the remote starter business, even though the name Mobile Sounds has sound in it, obviously is an important revenue stream for you guys. What are some of the systems that are your go-to workhorse systems day in, day out that you are very confident with?
Well, we're an exclusive directed retailer. All we do is we do Viper and Automate, a little bit of Python depending on our dealer. We are probably 98% digital platform, DS4 and DS4P, some analog just for some older vehicles, two-way LED, two-way LCD. It's probably 10 to 1 to any one-way systems that we do. Our dealerships always use the same product in every single car, and it seems like our retail customers are much the same.
So a lot of the T harnesses, I imagine, goes out your door as well.
We stock every harness.
Every harness in stock, ready to go. Okay, well, you're talking about directed product. Here comes question number 2, ready or not. Since the acquisition of Directed by Vox Electronics, there's been quite a few shifts and changes in both the distribution and the structure of that brand. What are your comments on these recent changes, and has this impacted any of your business? Let's start with you, Paul.
Yeah, it's definitely impacted. Since Directed was bought from Vox, and now with the distribution change, our business has completely changed. There was product issues, which we dealt with years ago. Then there was inventory issues, with everybody dealt with. The biggest issue we're having now is pricing. Our pricing has changed substantially in the last 2.5 years. And like I said, as an exclusive Directed dealer since '93, it's kind of opening the door to explore options, because it's kind of the new distribution seems to level the playground for pricing and availability with everybody else. So it's definitely making us look around anyway, for sure. Nothing's changing yet, but we're not exploring.
It sounds like there's an eyebrow up, though, that might not have been there before. That eyebrow.
We're looking. There's conversations being had that we haven't had in 30, that we've never had to have or felt like we wanted to have in the past 30 years. And that's a change.
Okay. All right. Sebastian, does this impact you at all, or do you have any comments about that shift in structure?
No, none whatsoever. We don't really do much of Viper at all. To be honest with you, ever since the DS4 came out and it had some issues, we kind of pushed towards iData and CompuStar.
Okay.
We used to do Directed when we opened back in '99, and it was our go-to, and the great product, always works, very reliable. But as far as the distribution now, I know like Jemson, I believe Jemson received it, and I'm not sure if Automob got that as well.
No, so just to clarify, in my discussions with Vox, the actual term is they are the repping agency, basically, as far as all things Vox, not just directed, but all things Vox, actually.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now Dave. Dave Mclean. Let me be more specific. I'm dealing with two handsome Daves this evening. Dave Mclean. Yeah, you know the question, and I do know for a fact, you guys definitely were involved with directed brands.
Absolutely. We were three-pronged with them. We were AstroStart, Automate, Viper. Obviously, we've lost Viper distribution from Dick's Performance. We are still a Viper retailer through JB's Power Center. And it's been a tough road. This is a big departure from what we were used to. We are having to stand on our own 2 feet. It's not as supportive as it used to be. It's unfortunate, and a lot like the other guys are saying, it lets you look left and right a little bit more to see what other things out there are existing and working, and maybe having less issues long term. And it's not something we wanted to do. It's definitely been pushed down to us with little to no discussion on a lot of things. So it's a hard pill to swallow when you've been doing something for 35 years and you've been supporting them in their acquisition and R&D of new product. And yeah, it's a tough one. That's a tough one for sure.
Okay. Just to clarify for those tuning in, the distribution for Viper in specific that Dave Mclean was just mentioning has now gone to the model that Vox Electronics has in the US, which is a direct-to-customer distribution for Viper brand, just for clarity. We'll finish this topic there with you, Mr. Ryer.
Again, like Sebastian, I do a lot of value data start. When it comes to directed, I do a lot of auto start analog, and then touch on the DS4 platform. I think the past couple of years, or since the acquisition led by Vox, I'm seeing a lot less reps come around. Usually, I would see a lot of directed reps come around almost monthly around to the store, just make sure everything's good, things like that. And I see a lot less of that. I think they laid off quite a few. Now Jemson distributing. There's going to be now longer wait times for me to get physical product. Just being where they are and where I am, it just that much more couple days makes it a little trickier. And they're also a distributor that has never been in the starter game before, so there's going to be a learning game there for them as well, which I'm sure they're going to do great at it, as they do other brands. But it's just there's a lot of learning curves, and I think they got a little bit of a road still ahead. So.
Yeah, they did code. I remember they did code back in I think it was 1999 or maybe 2000.
Oh, sorry, Sebastian, to be clear, you're talking about Jemson?
Yeah, Jemson. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so they did that, but that was it. Yeah, so they're definitely new to the industry. But the company overall is a great company, so they got their head on straight. I think that they'll do a successful job.
All right. Paul, after hearing everybody and their comments, I would like to leave you the last comment on this topic before we move on.
It seems like everybody kind of has the same feelings right now. The change has been widespread and it's affected every directed dealer. We are, like I said, we bleed directed here. It's all we sold. It's all we've ever sold. The owner worked tech support for directed for a number of years, as well as ran the business. And with the changes, like I said, it's a hard conversation to even have to look at other options because we are very, very happy with the product. We're maybe not as happy with how we have to go about getting it. That's all.
Fair enough. To
be fair, most of the product we buy is from Jemson. We love the guys at Jemson.
I mean, you guys are huge Jemson customers already, right? I mean,
we love dealing with them. We have no problems with Jemson. It's not a Jemson issue per se. It's the change from Vox and how things are distributed and handled in Canada that we struggle with.
Okay, fair enough. We will move on. Now, let's, who should we go to? Let's go to Mr. Dave Mclean. Dave, you've made mention to it, so I'm going to continue on this route. In the last 2 years, JB's has had to shuffle around some brands and make some maneuvers, maneuvers is what I'll call it. Where have the cards fallen now, and how do you feel about the upcoming season moving forward?
I feel good about the season, to be completely honest. I think we've made the right moves for our retail space. We're still directed. We still have Astro and Viper in the case, but it's not as prominent as it used to be. We're letting our customers help us decide what we're going to do for the future. We have broadened our horizons. We have more options for the consumer than we've ever had. And we're basing that on solutions, right? So we're opening the door to more solutions and more cars coming in the bay to have installs done. So no limitation to JBs. We're doing iData Start, we're doing Fortin, and we're doing Directed. And we've put a very big emphasis on Fortin because of their Canadian content and the quality control that they have shown us in the field. And we're happy to be making those decisions at this time. The year will unfold as it always does. It's going to be based on the weather. And we're
right now it's hot in Alberta, isn't it? Right now.
Oh, it's 29 degrees, so we're doing air conditioning installs right now. But 2 weeks ago we had frost and the flannel is out, so the book is full, and we're happy to be there. But like anything, we're stocked up. We have it ready. We're ready to have these customers come in the door and have us support them in their purchase. And we couldn't be prouder to have the brands we have.
Well, on that topic, here comes question number 3 for the evening. Directed, yep, did a shuffle. We hear your concerns. But on the flip side of the coin, because there's always two sides to every story, gentlemen, they kind of dropped the bomb. And they dropped the bomb hard, especially for the Western Canadian side of things and out east as well. Maybe not affecting Ontario, Quebec so much, but moving forward, they have a no monthly fee plan when it comes to their Smart Start DSM 550 telematics package right across Canada. That's right. That's what they did. So, Dave, what do you have to say about that now?
Finally, we've got a viable option that a consumer will actually want to buy. It was a very hard road last year with the major changes they made with Telematics and Smart Start, and this was the right move. This was absolutely the only thing they could do to regain what they had lost last year, and I'm happy to move forward with Smart Start. Great module, great connectivity. The plan was always what was the diminishing factor, and these DSM 550 FRs with their no annual fee are absolutely a winner. Yeah, for sure.
Very cool.
I got
Dave,
a question. So you were saying
I'll be there in a second, Sebastian. Let me just go to Dave first. Dave Ryer, what do you think of this no fee business?
I think it's a fantastic idea. I think with all the frustrations we've seen in the past couple of years with Directed, they needed to do something, and I think now they're easily competing with the other telematic brands out there. Obviously, with price now, they might even have a leg up now, right? So, I think it's a good move, great move.
Okay, Sebastian, by all means, your thoughts on this new offering.
Yeah, so it's definitely great move, great idea on their side of things. But I heard there's like a fee, like $120 first time fee for the actual.
Allow me to clarify that. So this new item, this DSM 550 module, will allow Canadian residents across Canada to have no monthly fees. However, should the customer want the GPS functionality of that telematic system, it is a one-time $120 setup fee for the life of that unit. One time. Okay.
Right.
The other thing I should mention is that there is an elevated cost to the hardware, so I definitely want to kind of throw that into the mix. So now that you know that, Sebastian, what are your comments?
So if the customer doesn't really care about GPS tracking, it's free regardless.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No monthly fees.
So no roadside with the no annual fee. You have to do the GPS to get roadside. So you've got that dealer base that was using that as roadside. Make sure they get the GPS.
And then do they plan on, like, if there was a hardware upgrade, like down the road, 2-3 years down the road, if there's like 6G, 7G, do they plan on sending out new units and then the installer gets the hardware replacement kind of
so the history? Yeah, so the history there with Directed is they've always kind of stood behind the 2G, 3G, 4G evolutions. If a customer is a Smart Start paying customer and they use the program and they can see that they're a user, They go out of their way to help their consumer. It's not usually free. Usually it's a $50 upgrade or whatever that might be.
And then
But they send it to
costing
the consumer. They send it to the consumer directly, and then the customer picks where they want to put in.
Yep.
Similar to drones. All right.
Yeah, similar. Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Paul? What do you think of this? Obviously, this is going to impact your offering for sure for your customers.
For sure. Yeah, it's great. We've sold more since this FR launched. We've sold more Smart Start this fall than we did last year.
The entire year, you mean? You're comparing this so
year.
far.
The fall of 22, we sold more Smart Starts than we did in 21.
And fall just began.
Exactly. In like 2 to 3 months. Customers like not having another monthly bill to tack on to their Apple Music and their Spotify and their.
Bro, Disney Plus and Netflix are killing me right now.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
This is how much it is, and it is a premium price. It's a lot more than it's a.
Yeah, I'm going to stop you there because it's not a little. It's substantial for that hardware. So, have you felt like the feedback? Any negative feedback from customers saying like, "Okay, what's the trick? Oh, it's because there's this much." Like,
Nope.
You get that?
No, this is how much it is. You don't have to pay a monthly fee like you used to have to pay. Oh, okay, that's how much it is, and they buy it. And we have everybody who comes in asks for phone control before. It's this much, and it's $12 a month. Oh well, I don't want to pay every month.
Yeah.
Now when they come in, you say it's this much, and it's included. Oh well, that's okay. Well, I can pay the extra couple $100 now and not have to worry about it.
Never again.
We're now stocking units on the shelf where we were special ordering them before because we just weren't selling them up until the unit.
And I'm going to assume that you are going out of your way to make sure they now know. Oh, and by the way, this is now no monthly fee. And when you mention that, of course,
100%. That's the second thing out of my mouth after the price.
What about the take on the GPS and a roadside assistance service? Is that what's the ratio?
Offer, you let them know. This is
do they do that on their own time, or they do it at the point of sale?
They do it when they sign up for when they put their coupon code in. That's included in the box. So they put the code in, and it wipes out the basic package price. Then it comes up. Do you want to buy this at one time at $100 US? And they say yes or no, and away they go.
Mr. Ryer, I'm going to go back to you in our preamble to this discussion. You were mentioning how you had some of the older model units that didn't have this coupon. How was that regulated?
Well, as soon as they released or started talking about the free, I kind of was freaking out a little bit because I know I had 16 or 24 units sitting on the shelf, and I wanted to know what happened with those. They had no subscription on them at all. Are those dead? Are those? I'm into them for X amount of dollars each, and I don't want to sell them when Johnny competitor down the street now has this free one sitting there, right? So that was a conversation I had with Directed, and they were easy to deal with. They responded with, how many units do you have? I need the air IDs of each one. And then 2 weeks later, I got a package in the mail of 16 or 24 cards with of the lifetime code on each card.
Wow.
So I put them in each package, and away we went.
All right. Mr. Mclean, I'll give you the final word on this topic.
I'm going to be reaching out tomorrow to get some cards to fix some of my inventory. So I appreciate that knowledge because that's some of the secret sauce that we don't share all the time. And that's why these roundtables are so important.
Good stuff. All right. So let's move beyond a little bit of the latest changes. Let's talk about new business opportunities. Mr. Paul Tate, let's start with you. I think you're a great person and a business to start this conversation. The Expediter business, with new car dealerships. It's not a new business. However, the recent available technology, along with the shortage in technicians, have some dealerships in search of solutions and they're looking for them bad. How does your business tackle the demand of the Expediter business?
Our business was built on Expediter business. Dwayne started Mobile Sounds in '93 as a mobile installer at dealerships out of a van. And 4 years later, he bought the bay, and we've been in the same bay since '97. Expediter business is a very large part of what we do. So much so that we hired a full-time tech. We finally found a competent, experienced tech. It took a while, but we found one. So his primary objective every day is to deal with our dealerships. And that's what he does. He's on the road. He's in-house, making calls. That's all he does. It's very, very important for us.
Now, is this the Expedited business? Vehicles come to you, or you go to the dealership?
Both. We have some dealers that will go pick up the cars and bring them back if they're close. And we have a couple of dealers that will go on the road, go in-house, do the work there, and come back. Just depending. Calgary's massive. It's a big city to get around. So sometimes we can do it on the road, and sometimes we just bring them back to the shop, depending on where they're located. And then we've also have another side of the business that we do. We do our own wholesale account to smaller retailers in smaller cities who don't want to buy from bigger places, and we offer them the customer service that they can't always get, a bit more personal service that they don't get from some of the bigger places, and tech support, and some of those accounts are 10, 15, 20 years old as well. Just selling the product and selling the tech support and shipping stuff out and letting them do their work. We have a number of dealers that do that with us as well.
Okay, very good. Let's go to Sebastian. Expediter business in your neck of the woods. What does that look like for you?
We service quite a few dealers on the road, and then same kind of idea. Some dealers that are close by will bring the vehicle to us. I don't like doing certain jobs on the road. Like, I'm not going to go do like a mini on the road with a Euro start. That's going to take me about 6.5 hours, depending the actual unit.
Mm-hmm.
So, vehicles that are like that which are intense installs, the vehicle would have to be brought to our shop. But otherwise, we'll go do like, Silverado vans for fleet, for alarm systems and stuff like that on the road. It's, very easy install. So that type of stuff we'll do mobile.
Okay.
And that's
and how important does it rank in terms of portions of your business when it comes to this type of Expediter clientele?
It helps us fill in the gaps, to be honest with you. Like, it helps us fill, like, just sometimes the shop isn't as busy as you'd like it to be, or it's extremely busy, and then they just throw a bomb on you and you're not expecting it. Right. But we do take care of our dealers. We take them very serious because we want to keep them around forever. Right. We don't want to lose a dealership.
All right. Very cool. Let's go to Mr. Ryer. Dave.
I do quite a bit of dealership work. Big part of my business is dealers. We do everything in-house, and I try to never say no to the dealers. I get that text message or email, or they just drop off a PO and some keys, and I just make sure it happens, right? Because that's constantly coming in, and I want to make sure that they're coming in and gone, and their customer's happy. The service department there is happy. You try to stay in all the service department good books, right?
That's the trick to the trade. You got to be good with the F&I in the service department, I think, is the trick.
For sure. And, I drop off coffees and donuts or Subway once in a while around Christmas time, just make sure they're all happy, and they got my personal cell number. Just if they need anything, I will do what I can, right? So, because go ahead.
What are some of the challenges with dealing with dealerships, though? So would you be, if I'm another dealer watching this, I'm like, yeah, I've been thinking about it because it sounds great, but there's always something. So what is it about dealer business?
Tricky because every department at the dealership is all their own thing, right? The sales department is different from the service, different than parts, and different than the techs in that bay, right? So not too many people, there's no communication, it seems like, in most dealerships, and it makes it tricky. So I message that service department and say, hey, do you got that vehicle for me? Oh, no, sales didn't even tell me about it. Okay. Now they got to go looking for it. So that makes it a little trickier on that side of things. So I think it's the communication between their interdepartments, right? That makes it hard for me to sometimes get that PO. I just need a PO number. That's all I need. Vehicle's done. You need to pick it up. I need a PO number. And it's sometimes a little tricky to get that, if that makes sense at all.
Yeah.
I think in the past few years, I've seen a few dealers kind of trickle off and get their technicians to maybe do their own installs. And then I saw most of that business come right back, right? That technician doesn't want to learn a new product. They don't want to troubleshoot at all. They just want to do their job, buy the book, and away we go. But when you have them starting to have to do troubleshoot or pick up a phone to call tech support, it doesn't happen. They'll just drop the keys, say, no, I'm done. And then I end up having to pull out that install and fix it or replace it and whatever. So I think I saw most of that business come back. And then another tricky thing with some new vehicles obviously is now, like giving you Subaru as an example. I did a lot of Subaru business over the past 20 years. And then in the past few years, them having telematics coming with, their Starlink or whatever they call it in all their new vehicles. It just came loaded with a year or 2 years in it. And so I saw that business kind of trickle away, right? Until those 2 years is up and the customer gets that first bill for $60 a month.
Yeah.
And then they call me back and say, can we just put a starter in there? And away we go. So
Fair enough. All right. Mr. Mclean.
We, just like everyone else, we do expediter work. We work with our dealers directly in Edmonton. It's a tricky business. The dealerships are very demanding. And in some cases, we do deal direct sales with the dealer and train in-house and support them in that process. So it's a tricky field, right? There isn't one solution to that problem. It's really what is demanding of the dealer and the situation they have in their town or their territory. We deal with a lot of dealers in Northern Alberta, and they're all spread out. It's very hard to do expediter work for them. In some cases, a lot of cases, we're dealing with the local guy to help him with product and training and keeping him up to speed because things don't happen as fast in rural Alberta as they do in the cities. So we're here to support that expediter. And, if there's no expediter in town and those dealers need work done, we're more than willing to help them do it in-house. And it's a role of support, 100%. It's you become their unpaid employee, and you better be there early, you better be there late, and you better roll out the red carpet a little bit because they need the help. But once you get them going and you get that situation handled for them, they become great business partners, and you can grow into other segments with them. And vehicle safety right now is a big part of that. So happy to be there for remote starters, and now all their shortages for heated seats and everything else.
Yes, I was just going to say that opens doors to heated seats, some ADAS
Absolutely.
Product, whatever else that, because, you become their guy. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about before we move on to our final topic, T-harnesses. So much more application of T-harnesses than ever before. My question, I'll go to Paul on this one. Does having these T-harnesses help your expediter business, especially when the application is available, that maybe you don't have to send that 25-year-old veteran to do this, and maybe you can send somebody more on a more junior level? Does that impact it at all?
For sure. Yeah, for sure it does. When we adopted DS4 and as the T-harnesses become available, we made a decision in-house that every remote starter we do is T-harnessed, included in the price. We eat the cost.
Hold on. Every remote starter you do is T-harnessed.
If it's available, we include the harness. If there's a T-harness available, we include the harness. We eat the cost. We feel it justifies the time savings on most cars. So when I send my guy out to the dealer after lunch, and he's got 4 or 5 cars he's got to do, I'm confident he's going to be back on the road to his wife in time for dinner. So I don't have to worry about it, right? We're in and out. We want to stay as invisible when we're at the dealerships working. We want them to know the work's done and it's done right, but we don't want them to know that we were there. Stay out of people's way, get the job done quick, get out of the way. And T-harnesses for service when the service writer, the service manager has a problem with the remote starter and this isn't working, it's car starter's fault. And we tell them, okay, unplug it. This problem's gone? Well, no, it's not the car starter. It helps with the problem solving. It helps with the service. And it helps to fortify that relationship with another department in the dealers.
Fair enough. Does anybody have anything to add to this topic before we go to our final topic?
I think T-harnesses, listen, I'm old school and I think T-harnesses are great. However, the T-harnesses did create a lot of installers or people or mechanics or whatever you want to call them that should not be doing any sort of install, even with a T-harness, doing installations. And that's the only thing that I don't like about T-harnesses. Like, yeah, you could get, I could get my 15-year-old son to unplug a plug and plug in a plug and press a button, start the car, and see you later. But when a remote starter's not mounted properly, securely, then you have a safety issue, or it's just some people shouldn't be doing certain things. Just like I don't do brakes because I could do brakes on my car. I choose not to because I'll bring it to a professional that should be doing brakes, right? And I think T harnesses have introduced a lot of people that shouldn't even be working on a vehicle, period, trying to do their own installs, and are taking away from professionals like ourselves that are supposed to be doing the install and just saving ourselves time to make more profit in the end. Correct?
Interesting. Dave Ryer?
Yeah.
I give my technicians, for the most part, the option to use a T harness or not. I might do things a little differently than Paul does because Paul includes it in every price. Some vehicles it makes it a little easier, but those T harnesses are expensive. So how I work it is, I tell the installers, if you use a T harness, that price of that T harness is coming off that labor. Okay, so that $250 labor, let's call it, that I would normally bill out, if you're using that T harness, that's $50. Is it worth it, that extra $50 of your labor? Okay, and that's not all vehicles. Some vehicles, Mazdas, that we have to use that T harness, or that just make it that much easier. Of course, use it. But Acuras, Hondas, Fords, some of the Fords that seems silly to use T harness when it comes to some of the IDATA start stuff. So they make that decision. They know that if they do use the T harness and that install only takes half an hour, we can maybe get another starter done, right? So we're a lot more efficient. Everybody makes more money, and you still get all in time, right?
Dave Mclean, I'll leave you with the last word since we've had some interesting additions to this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone does it a little different. We are the all-in-one pricing retailer. We do it a lot like Paul does. It's included. We do it differently in the install bay. We let the installer decide: is this a T harness? Is this a hardwire? But if they don't use the T harness, we give them that as extra labor, because obviously the hardwire does take more effort, more skill to do. If they believe that that's the better solution for the consumer and the longevity of that remote starter install, I encourage them to make that decision and pay them for it, because it is going to take longer. But in the same regard, if they use the T harness, it is built in, and they don't lose any labor, but they don't get the extra. And in a lot of cases, they're picking the T harness, of course. And then, really, to Sebastian's point of people not knowing and probably not supposed to be doing these things, I really think that that's a distribution problem. We only sell to reputable dealers. I do not sell to the general public. There is no counter sales in our stores. There is no cash and carry. They're only install only. You don't want it installed, I can't sell it to you.
And that's the way it should be.
And that's the way it needs to be. And I really think that that's a big part of what Directed and Vox is doing. They're trying to clean up that market and that situation. And to that point, I do applaud what they did. I just don't understand some of the other decisions they've made.
Fair enough. All right, gentlemen, we've arrived at what I think is going to be a very interesting final topic for this evening. Undeniable that the media has been showing us, has been telling everybody, theft for vehicles is on an unprecedented rise. So I'm going to start with Sebastian. 12-volt car audio security is located in a very densely populated area in the GTA, one of the most populated areas in the country. What are some of the abnormal or trending phenomena that you have been experiencing at your shop recently when it comes to security?
So the amount of, I'd say percentage-wise of increase of alarm systems have probably increased 150%. What we're noticing, we're getting on average 5 to 7 phone calls every single Monday that their vehicle was stolen, or their cousin's vehicle was stolen, or their friend's vehicle was stolen. We've had customers. I have customers that have alarm systems installed, in their vehicle, and there's footage on their home security cameras, people still walking by their vehicle with the security installed, trying to steal the vehicle. The vehicles that I'm actually talking about, the number one vehicles are any TRX, the Dodge Ram 1500s, F-150 Lariat, F-150 Platinum, the Raptor, any of those type of vehicles are being targeted and stolen. Like I've been in the business for 30 years. I have never witnessed this amount of theft ever before. We've had a customer that came in on a Thursday. We were so busy. I told him to leave his TRX over the weekend. I'll leave it inside. Monday morning we'll get to it and we'll get you all set and done. And he says, I'll just block my wife's car with my truck, and then I'll bring it to you Monday morning. It's okay. I need my truck. Well, Monday morning came and he gave me a call. His truck was gone. We had another customer who had an appointment on a Monday. He was coming with his brand new Silverado to put an alarm system in. He had an alert from his old 2021 Ford Lariat that he gave to his business partner. The alarm triggered so he was still connected to the Ford app, and it notified him at 3 a.m. that the vehicle was being stolen. He was watching GPS on the actual truck, and it moved over 2 streets. It stayed there for 2-3 minutes. After 2-3 minutes, all he saw was the communication was completely gone, but the fuel level, the DTE, the distance till empty, was the only thing that was visible on his phone. So he saw that he was just dropping the gas, 510 till empty, 490, 470, 460, and then at around 440 kilometers, he lost all communication for the vehicle. So what we're doing to when we do an alarm, we don't really do we're not a shop that we'll put a toggle switch immobilizer in, we'll put this kind of alarm key fob in to kind of do a starter kill. It's either full out or we're actually not even interested in doing it. And what we're doing is we're putting a CMX in. We're completely discommunicating the factory key, OEM key, to the actual alarm system. We're letting them choose if they want the drone mobile app or another telematics type of system. We're adding the alarmant brain. We relocate the front horn that's mounted in on a Dodge Ram. It's right behind the front grille. So what we've seen in the past, in the last 3 Dodge Rams, is one of the horn wires they actually unplugged the plug. On one of the trucks, they cut the wire. On the other truck, they just ripped out the wires. So what they do is they actually go in with a pair of cutters first. They cut the horn, then they go and they do their work with their programming, or they drill a hole for the lock and unlock the door, pop the door. Now the lights are flashing. There's no more audible sound. And then they get in and they drive the truck away, right? So going back to what we do is when we put the CMX in, we put an RF kit in, depending on what the customer wants to spend. We put a T13 or a T12 in, or something with two-way communication. And then we do a full, old school hidden installation that you're not getting by with a tow truck, even with this truck, because we put that 5-zone DOS sensor that CompuStar has. So we charge 8 hours labor at $120 an hour, plus all the parts. Our alarm systems are $2,700, $2,800, $2,900. And if you don't want to do it, then I'm not interested in doing it, because I'm not going to put some immobilizer that some pro could actually go get by, and then you look like a clown that the guy's vehicle still ended up getting stolen.
All right, I'm going to stop you there, Sebastian. This is going to be an ongoing discussion. Let's go to Dave Ryer first. Tom, what is your reaction to this story and this information that Sebastian is sharing with us?
It's crazy hearing things like that. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. In Saskatchewan, we hear nothing, just crickets when it comes to security.
And you have every truck that he just taught. He said,
we have trucks. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't hear anything of it. No theft, no nothing. And we're a big player in Saskatchewan, and I do not get calls on theft. Nothing about code stealing, nothing. So even us talking, in the pre-production a couple days ago, it's not a big thing. So I had to start Googling the past couple of days and starting to research, looking at the East and seeing how crazy it really is. But it's also starting to make me, now that you're talking about this, I've wrote a few notes down. It's going to come my way. So I might as well be ready for it and have a solution ready for that client when they call and say, hey, my TRX got stolen last night. What do we do with my new truck, or what have you, right? So I appreciate your information, because I need to be prepared for it, because I can't be the only province that it just doesn't happen in, right? So,
well, I think you're in between two city centers where it's going to happen in, because Vancouver, it's happening. Toronto, Montreal, definitely happening. And I think because where you're located, it's just a question of when. So, Dave Mclean, let's hear your reaction to this story, this news.
It's starting to happen here too. After our talk, I had mentioned it to a couple of our staff members, like, "Oh, did you hear about the 30 Hellcats that went missing the other night?" And you're like, "Excuse me?" And they're like, "Yeah, there was a hit, and like 30 Hellcats went missing in Edmonton in one night." So they're doing batches. They're figuring out these cars they're going after. They know exactly what they're doing. We've already come up with some solutions, a lot like Sebastian, where we're doing full old school install. And it's something we are actively offering those customers. In our demographic, it's diesel truck, huge seller and huge theft here. If it's a Ford and it's got a diesel, it's been stolen before. That's just how it goes. And they're crafty. So there's no basic solution for this. I'm just waiting for it to become mandated that these vehicles have security, because I cannot see these insurance companies paying these bills. These are $80,000+ trucks, $250,000. Like, they're not going to pay out on these unless they're protected.
Okay. Paul, I'm hoping you heard some of that. Obviously, it sounds like there's a serious wave of theft going on. Sebastian was sharing with us how he's combating this, and what he's offering to customers is basically all in everything we got, old school, hide brain, you name it, or don't do it at all, because he doesn't want to be in that position to go to the customer once it gets stolen and say, so it's either all in or you don't do it at all. What do you think about this whole situation?
Yeah, for sure. Theft, again, being in Alberta, it's truck country. Trucks get stolen all the time, and they're stealing trucks now. All of a sudden, we're seeing like mid-2000s GM trucks. All of a sudden, there's been a run on them, and they're coming in here all the time. We need an alarm. This truck was stolen. This is a theft recovery, nonstop. And people are actively coming in looking for security all of a sudden. In the last year, I'm sure there's lots of reasons for it, but they're stealing trucks and they're stealing catalytic converters, and we're doing whatever we can do to try and help these people out, right? Early 2000s, F-350s have always been a popular vehicle to steal. It hasn't changed. We're still getting them, one or two a week that need some sort of security, because you can steal with a flathead screwdriver in about 4.5 seconds, right? But the fact they're starting to steal the newer stuff, and how easily they're stealing the newer stuff, it's only a matter of time before.
My question is this: what do dealers need to do, A, to prepare? B, is this something that we need to educate our customers as they come in asking for a remote start?
Yeah.
Are you now actively, so going back to now you, Sebastian, fast forward right now, you've heard the discussion. We've talked about a lot of different topics. What are you doing to engage your customer when it comes to the security question now?
I tell them the stories I just told you guys. The theft is like, I tell them I've been doing this 30 years. over 30 years. I used to do, old Firebirds and Camaros and Fieros and all those cars. And I used to install alarms, and alarms were quite popular back then, and then slowly but surely it kind of just started decreasing as the transponder was introduced and cars came with transponders, and then the higher end vehicles started having factory alarm systems. Alarms kind of just like tapered off and kind of almost went to like dead, the odd one here, the odd one there. Now we're doing more security now than I did back in 1992.
Wow.
It's insane what's happening. And I tell people like even if you don't have the money, what
if I can't spend $3,000 on a security system?
I know that not everybody can, right? But like I say, at least get the key tags from Nav TV that wrap around the key, to give you.
Does everybody know what he's talking about?
What was that?
RF blockers.
Can you do, Mr. Ryer? Do you? No, Paul.
No, we don't.
Okay, so go ahead. I'm going to enlighten if anybody doesn't know what this is.
Yeah, so Nav TV has these. They're called secure key, and what it is it's just literally a wrap around a battery, the different size batteries, the 2025s, 2045s, 2032s. And what you do is you actually wrap the battery, you clean it with alcohol, and you wrap you clean the battery, you wrap this thin layer, like it's almost almost like a circuit board, like a bendable circuit board around the battery, and you reinsert the key battery into the fob. You close the fob up. You have you wouldn't even know it's in there. And now if you leave the key for 10 minutes without any motion, it does not transmit any signal. The key is completely dead. So once, even if the customer is inside the vehicle and they're sitting in the car waiting for their wife to do, shopping, and their truck is off, and they have the key sitting in the cup holder, and they're going to try to start the car when the wife returns, the truck won't start. So once you pick up your key, you shake your key, now it detects that the owner of the vehicle has the key in his hand, and now will transmit the signal, allow you to start your truck.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool. I talked to them at Nav TV. They did ran out of a processor that is in there. It's like a microprocessor. So they're waiting on parts. Hopefully they are going to get all the parts in. I did buy the rest of the Nav TV battery wraps from Clemson. I'm not going to lie. Like if you really need one, you can call me. I'll sell you a couple. But it's religious. Like I tell people, at least do this until you come for your scheduled
Here's the beauty of it. I don't mind, Sebastian. Here's the beauty of it, guys. Yes, sorry, Dave.
I got a quick one. So since our last conversation before we had this roundtable, we were talking about what are we doing in the stores. We've decided at JB's that we're going to post the top 20 stolen cars in our demographic. So kind of like a hit list. Is your truck or car on this list? You should absolutely be a security customer. Yeah. So that list is changing almost weekly for us with catalytic converter thefts and full-out vehicle thefts. Contents don't seem to be that much of an issue anymore. They're taking the whole car. We're going to show the customer that you're on this list, and we absolutely want to work with you in fixing this problem.
I just wanted to just for clarity purposes, let's say your wife has her, she comes home, closes the car, walks in. What's the first thing she's going to do? She's either going to hang up her keys on a key holder, or it's in her purse and she puts it down, right? That's where it is. Those 10 minutes, it is done. There is no more code grabbing available, period, for the rest of the night until she wakes up and picks up her bag again. And really, that's what it's all about. So it's a simple device. I remember getting the training from Dave Singh on that from Jefferson, and I thought that was just an awesome device. And you know what? Does it fix everything? No, it doesn't. But does for the price and what it does, man, it eliminates a big chunk of it right there for a very minimum cost.
What's the? I'm so sorry. I have one thing. What's the number one car that you have, Dave, there in Calgary? What's the number one car there?
So the number one car here is actually 06 Super Duties. That just before the transponders came out, if you have one, it's been stolen 10 times. That's just how the game
Really?
is. Oh yeah, they're boomerangs. They go out, they come back, they go out, they come back. Oh, you should just leave the keys in the ignition and save them the time.
Yeah.
No point. Interesting. What about you right now, Sebastian, in Toronto?
Ours are like 100%. It's the TRXs, the Trailhawks, anything with that Hemi engine, the Trackhawk or whatever it's called. I think it's a Trackhawk, the Trex, the TRX, and then RX 350. If you have a Lexus RX 350, just honestly, just go sell it. Just go get your money back. Or like leave it in your garage and, you know, build a safe inside your concrete into the floor and protect the keys, because you have that car. I'll guarantee you will not own that car for over a month. So
we'll just leave it at that. We'll just leave it at that. Gentlemen, I'll tell you, this has been one of the most interesting conversations I've had on these roundtables. And a lot of it, of course, has to do with your input and what you put into this conversation. So on that note, on behalf of everybody here at CMA Networks, I want to thank everybody here for your time. Dave, Sebastian, and Paul. Really look forward to having you on again. And good luck on this remote starter season.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Take care. Great roundtable this evening. All right. Well, if you hung in this long, got a couple quick announcements for you. They're super important. First and foremost, if you haven't already, check out our contest. We're giving away a free all-inclusive. No, not that contest. Let's go back to the contest. Yes, that contest. The Ultimate Fab Experience Giveaway. Head over to cmanetworks.com/giveaway. It's a free form. Just sign up. Anybody in the Canadian industry. All expenses paid to Master Tech Expo next spring in Mesa, Arizona. Now, we also have our next roundtable, which will be scheduled for October 26th. There's not many left, obviously. We're already here in September, the end of September, but a few interesting topics yet to go yet. The next one is October 26th, and it's going to be all about lighting and ADAS. So we're going to get a whole new group of retailers in on that one. Last but not least, we are blasting off on CMA Networks with the ADAS sessions, Advanced Driver Assistance Systems. Great brands presenting, ton of brands presenting actually, and we're going to go deep with each and every one of them, one brand at a time. Tune in every day at 12 p.m. That's it. Thanks for watching this CMA Roundtable presented by SiriusXM and sponsored by 5-Axis Innovations. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
Yo, roll it down. I am. You don't need a car to listen to SiriusXM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on SiriusXM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?